They say no matter where you are, no matter who calls you, never answer your name after midnight. Because sometimes, the voice calling you is not human. Today's story will explain why. In the small village of Udum, there lived a girl named Kelechi. Kind, beautiful, gentle, but unlucky. Strange things always happened around her. Goats would stare at her for too long. Birds would stop singing whenever she walked by. And every night, she had the same dream. A voice whispering her name. Kelechi. Kelechi. Soft. Calm. Almost begging. But whenever she tried to answer, she woke up suddenly, breathing fast, sweating, heart racing. Her grandmother warned her. My child, if you hear your name after midnight, pretend you are dead. Even if they knock. Even if they cry. Even if they sound like me, do not answer. Kelechi didn't understand. But she obeyed. Until the night she made the mistake that almost took her life. It was a cold night. The moon hid behind the clouds. The wind refused to blow. The village slept like a graveyard. Kelechi lay on her bamboo bed, trying to sleep. Then she heard it. Very faint. Very soft. Kelechi. She sat up immediately. Her heart jumped. The voice came again. But this time, clearer. Kelechi, my daughter, opened the door. Her eyes widened. It was her mother's voice. But her mother died 2 years ago. Kelechi froze. Her grandmother's warning echoed in her mind. If the dead ever call your name at night, they are not calling you with love. Kelechi stayed silent. The voice knocked gently. Knock. 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 Open for me, my child. Don't you recognize my voice? Tears filled Kelechi's eyes. Her hands shook. Her throat dried up. She whispered to herself. Don't answer. Don't answer. The voice changed tone, deep and angry. Kelechi. Open this door. Her body stiffened. The door rattled violently. The windows shook. The lamp flickered. Something was outside. Something that knew her mother's voice. Something that wanted to be let in. She covered her ears, but the voice rose louder. Open this door now. Suddenly. Silence. Complete silence. Kelechi's heart calmed. For 1 second. Then she heard footsteps. Slow. Dragging. Heavy. Moving to her window. Something leaned close. She felt cold air on her neck. Then it whispered. I know you're awake. Kelechi almost screamed. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't speak. She couldn't blink. The shadow outside shifted slowly. Like someone crawling on the wall. Kelechi held her breath. And prayed. Until she felt something worse. A cold hand sliding under her door. Long. Thin. Dark. Reaching for her feet. She screamed. The hand vanished immediately. But the voice growled. You will answer me one day. The footsteps moved away. A moment later. The rooster crowed. The sun rose. And the village came alive. But Kelechi's life would never be the same again. Her grandmother rushed into her room the next morning. Kelechi, did you answer? Kelechi shook her head violently. No, Mama. But it came. Her grandmother's eyes filled with fear. She took Kelechi outside and sprinkled white chalk around her feet. It is the Ogbanj collar, she whispered. Kelechi's heart dropped. The Ogbanj collar. The spirit that mimics the voice of loved ones. To lure its victims into the night. Where they never return. Her grandmother held her tightly. It has chosen you. And tonight, it will return. Night came too fast. The moon turned red. Dogs refused to bark. The wind died. Kelechi sat between two burning lamps. Her grandmother drew symbols on the floor. Suddenly, knock, knock, knock. Kelechi's blood ran cold. The voice was back. But this time, it didn't sound like her mother. It sounded like Kelechi herself. Her own voice. Calling her name. Kelechi, open. She cried. She trembled. The door shook harder. Her grandmother began chanting. The shadow pressed against the door, trying to force itself inside. Then, suddenly, a scream echoed outside. Not human. Not animal. Something in between. The lamps burst into flames. The shadow vanished instantly. The whole hut became silent again. Her grandmother whispered, "It is gone. You survived." Kelechi collapsed in tears. Weak. Shaking. But alive. Kelechi survived something that was not meant for human eyes. But the spirit that called her name wasn't done. Because tonight, it didn't come to the door. It came inside the house. Kelechi didn't sleep after that terrible night. Her grandmother stayed beside her until morning, holding her shaking hands like a child. But the village was changing too. People whispered when she passed. Mothers told their children not to walk near her. And even the elders refused to meet her eyes. They believed the Ogbanj collar had marked her. Only one person still stood by her. Her childhood friend, Is. He found her sitting under the Udola tree, staring at nothing. "Kelechi," he said gently, "you've not eaten. What happened last night?" She didn't know how to explain it. How could she tell him that something dead, something ancient, had crawled to her window and whispered with her own voice? But she tried. "Is, it knows my name. And it wants me. I don't know why." Is knelt beside her. "Then you won't face it alone." She almost smiled. Almost. Until she saw something behind him. A tall, thin shadow standing under the tree. Watching them. Is turned to look. But it vanished. Kelechi stood immediately. "It's following me, Is. Even in daylight." His face tightened with fear. "Then we must tell the chief priest." They went to the shrine of Dibia Okoro, the most feared spiritual man in Udum. He listened in silence, staring at Kelechi with eyes too old for his face. Then he said quietly, "The spirit is not calling you at random. It knows you. It has called you before." Kelechi frowned. "I've never heard that voice until now." The old man shook his head slowly. "Not in this life." He swallowed hard. Kelechi's hands grew cold. Dibia Okoro continued. "You are the return of someone the spirit once owned." Kelechi felt her knees weaken. "What do you mean, once owned?" But the priest didn't answer. He simply handed her a small calabash tied with red thread. "When it calls your name again, don't run. Don't scream. Don't pray out loud. Open this calabash and throw the ashes." Kelechi nodded slowly, even though her stomach twisted with fear. The priest added, "And remember, the spirit is changing its tactics. It will no longer knock at the door." He frowned. "Then where will it come?" The priest looked up, and his voice dropped. "Anywhere it wants." That night, Kelechi sat beside the lamp again, the calabash shaking in her hands. Her grandmother sat close, whispering prayers under her breath. But something felt wrong. The air was too cold. The silence too deep. The shadows too long. Kelechi held her grandmother's hand. "Mama, do you feel that?" Her grandmother nodded slowly. "The ground is trembling." Then it happened. Not a knock. Not a whisper outside the window. A breath. Behind Kelechi. Cold. Slow. Long. She froze. Very slowly, too slowly. Her grandmother turned her head. Her eyes widened. But she didn't speak. She just stared behind Kelechi. At something only she could see. Kelechi whispered. "Mama, what is it?" Her grandmother didn't move. Then Kelechi heard it. A voice directly behind her ear. "Kelechi, don't turn around." Her blood froze. It was her own voice. Same tone. Same softness. Same breath. Iz, who was outside the hut, suddenly shouted. "Kelechi! Don't answer it." The voice behind her whispered again. "If you move, I will follow you forever." Her grandmother suddenly screamed. "Kelechi! Run!" But Kelechi couldn't move. Her feet were glued to the floor. Her breath caught. Her mind spun. Then, a cold hand touched her shoulder. Gently. Like someone claiming property. "I told you, you will answer me one day." And there, behind Kelechi, they finally saw it. Not a monster. Not a shadow. A thin girl. Barefoot. Wearing torn palm leaves. Her eyes empty. Her skin cracked like old wood. And yet, she looked exactly like Kelechi. Not similar. Not close. Exactly. Kelechi gasped. "Who are you?" The spirit girl stepped forward. "You know me. You carried my life. You walk with my soul. But you abandoned me." Kelechi shook her head furiously. "I've never seen you before." The spirit girl smiled painfully. "When you were born, the elders said you came quietly. Too quietly." Her grandmother whispered. "Kelechi, this is the child you were in your first life." Iz's mouth fell open. "What? Mama, what are you saying?" The grandmother's voice trembled. "Kelechi is a returning spirit. A child who has lived before." The spirit girl spoke again. "In my first life, I died before dawn. A curse claimed me. No one banned my footprint. No one closed my path. So my soul wandered, waiting for you to return." Kelechi stepped back, tears filling her eyes. "You're me? But I didn't do anything to you." The spirit girl's expression hardened. "You ignored the signs. Your dreams. The voice in the forest. The cold breeze that called to you." Kelechi shook her head. "I didn't know." The spirit took another step. "You were not meant to live this life without me. You owe me what you took." He stood in front of Kelechi. "She doesn't owe you anything. Leave her alone." The spirit girl tilted her head. "You cannot protect her. You cannot fight me. I am her shadow. Her memory. Her beginning." The grandmother raised her staff. "Then we will end your path tonight." But the spirit girl whispered. "You can't end me. You must release me." The grandmother brought out the calabash, the one that broke. But the spirit girl shook her head. "Not the ashes. The ashes were to keep me away. But now I am here." She pointed to Kelechi's chest. "The answer is in her." Kelechi touched her heart. "What do you want?" The spirit girl's voice softened. "I want peace. I want rest. I want to sleep. But I cannot. Until you say my name." Kelechi's breathing stopped. "My name. But I don't know it." The spirit girl stepped closer. "You knew it once? Before you were born again?" The grandmother nodded. "Close your eyes, Kelechi. Let your spirit speak." Kelechi shut her eyes. Darkness. Cold. A memory she didn't know she had. A baby crying. A mother screaming. A name whispered in fear. Then Kelechi's lips moved on their own. Amora. The spirit girl gasped. A tear slipped down her cheek. That was me. I was Amora. Kelechi whispered. I remember now. I'm sorry. I didn't abandon you. I just didn't know. The spirit girl reached out. Then say it. Kelechi breathed deeply. Amora. I release you. The wind shifted. The heart glowed. The spirit girl slowly faded, smiling for the first time. Thank you, Kelechi. Her voice became soft. Soft. Then gone. The heart fell silent. The air grew warm again. Thank you for listening to this story. If you want more stories like this, click like and subscribe.